Hey guys, just waiting until I go live on I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here. Back with another video and welcome to the third and penultimate part of my plans to empower, support and uplift Indigenous people from all over the Americas. Hope you enjoy it. And as per usual, these are pointers number 21 to 30. I had a bit of a granddad nap, but it took longer than planned. When I went, I think it was about 5:30 or something like that by the time I went to sleep. And I couldn't get my butt out of bed and the rest of me till about 9 o'clock. And then my mum kindly bought me dinner, but it took me a lot longer than planned to eat it. So that set me back. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this, and as ever, I welcome your suggestions on how to support and empower Native Americans and Native people from all over the Americas. Here goes. So number 21, as I said before, like thinking about things that begin with T. I'm hoping to think like what we can learn from Native American traditions. I think like 21 again. Like to me, normally culture or tradition are two words. I have to mention about how there's words that are sort of interchange with other words, used interchangeably and that kind of thing. And tradition and culture are two that I normally mix up. I'm using the word tradition because it's a Tuesday, and both being with T, of course. But yeah, to me, culture and tradition normally belong in the past, with like new technology looking to the future. But that's my personal opinion, of course. As ever, you're free to disagree with me if you like. Please feel free to disagree if you like. But please feel free to call me a twit if you must. But yeah, I'd love to know what we can learn from Native American traditions. As I said before, like how they look after animals and things like that. Sorry, I hope you can hear me clear enough. There's some music next door, so well, in the room next door. So my mum's watching a movie. So anywho, so yeah, this week, as much as possible, I hope to empower Native Americans. I do hope to talk a bit about football as well, with town football and Celtic soccer or Americans out there. But I mainly wish to focus on Native American empowerment this week. Number 22, looking into the future. I talked like 21, I think like the past and like learning from tradition. But I say I'm not a big fan of culture or tradition, whatever the difference is. I would say culture has the word cult in it as well. But on a serious note, like, I think it's like living in the past and doing things just because we did things a certain way. As I've heard once, I've heard people say just because we did things this way, just because that's the way it's always been done, it doesn't mean we shouldn't change if necessary. But I can't remember if I said this before, but I was thinking, imagine if you would. I don't think I mentioned this when I meant to in point number 3, but could you imagine if there would be Native American trillionaires in the future? Although I think once you get to that point, or if people do become trillionaires, I think they should definitely help the less fortunate. In this case, they should help their fellow Native Americans. I'd love for my fellow Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians, and maybe even mixed race people generally, to be like the peace of the world, like be peaceful, loving, supportive, and helpful to the poorest and things like that, including helping like Pine Ridge Reservation and visiting reservations and supporting their communities, helping teaching them and training them and that kind of thing. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they could do in the future, especially if they network together and hopefully they can change their lives for the better. Number 23, I'd love to fundraise for Native Americans and to see what companies. Thanks, Money, thanks, mate. Marty, as I call him, my mate Martin from Kenya just commented, so I appreciate that, Martin. Marty, I call him. But anyway, from this, the son of the founder of the school I was born in Kenya. Anyway, sorry, side note. But yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I'd love for people to talk about how to support Native Americans, especially the poorest regions, and how they could network together to support each other, like those who make money from casinos and the wealthier Native Americans. I wouldn't want to tell anyone what to do, but I would love for them to help the less fortunate, especially amongst their own community and that kind of thing. Appreciate the likes, guys, and I hope you will share the videos and get involved in the discussion. But yeah, I'd love to tackle poverty generally. Obviously, this week, as I say, I'm focusing on supporting Native Americans as much as I'd love for everyone to have a home, shelter, drinks, food, and things like that, and medical support. And it would be great to train like Native American scientists and people like that, and seeing what tech and other companies could do. How can we get more Native Americans into banking, business, tech, and all sorts of different areas? Wow, 3 likes, that's pretty cool. Yeah, please up those likes, guys. I really appreciate that, and sharing the video and that kind of thing. But yeah, how would you support and help Native Americans? I know I asked that question in part 2 as well, in point number 16. But yeah, hopefully people can share these videos and get involved in the discussion on how to support, empower, uplift, and just generally help Native Americans to improve their life, and how they can help each other and their communities, and how to fundraise them, and again to tackle poverty on Pine Ridge Reservation, which I think is said to be the poorest part of America. I said before, like many people, when they think about poor parts of America, they would think of like Latin Americans, and especially African Americans, and communities like that. But actually, Pine Ridge, obviously those communities suffer from poverty as well, but Pine Ridge is apparently the poorest part of America. So I think it'd be good to help them, like to support them to get build tourism, help them to sell things and things like that. And I'd love to encourage my fellow neurodiverse people to be philanthropists. Moving on, number 24. Again, I don't want to focus just on America. I want to think of like Native people from all over the Americas and how they can network together. So whatever ideas are applied to some groups could be applied to others. And I'd love for them to have international representation. Number 25. I dream that people, POC, people of colour, as I said before, will support Native Americans. And I forgot to say something in point number 23, but I'm going to say it in point number 26 anyway, I think. Or maybe I'll say it now, just before point number 26. I forgot to say about AI, and I was going to say a little joke. I was thinking of saying it in the intro, but I thought I'd say it in point number 23, but I forgot, which is, you could be, AI now is so good, you can't tell whether it's real or not. You could even be looking at AI right now and not notice. That's a lame little attempt at joke. I was thinking, like, because I was watching this film about AI with my mum while I was eating dinner with my mum and her partner, but who bought me dinner kindly. Yeah, so I was quite lucky to get some nice meal, nice Indian meal. Indian as in Asian Indian. Just to avoid the confusion. But yeah, it was about an AI girl. I only watched part of it, and then I went to come and make this video before I go for my show. I'll make part 4 hopefully. But yeah, I was thinking about how people call me iRobot because of my punctuation and my quirks, especially my punctuation and that kind of thing. You probably can tell I've read it all online, like all sorts of things people have called me or whatever about my punctuation, like how they would you write like that or whatever. But what I was going to say about AI, other than my lame joke about like you could be looking at AI right now and not notice, it's so lifelike nowadays. But because this film was about a girl who's like, they don't know whether she's real or not. But I didn't watch the conclusion, I've got to admit. But I think it's called Artificial Girl or something. But I was thinking AI. I know I've mentioned this before, so it's not something new. As in, like I've thought about it recently, like only this year, over the last few months. But what if AI was used to do all our chores, errands, tasks, and whatnot? So we didn't have to do much, but we could still do what we enjoy. I mean, a Christian guy was saying that a Christian guy called Jim said AI would bring us food or whatever. I said, like, how are we going to eat or whatever? And they said AI will bring us food, but then a life without purpose is a bit meaningless. But then I think you can always have a purpose. Like I have my 5 causes of benefiting a town football, Celtic, libertarianism, people from former colonies, Native Americans included, and tackling poverty and alleviating suffering, again helping Native Americans, for instance, and spreading peace, love, joy, hope, and happiness, and that good stuff. So I think you could still have a purpose. I don't think you need a job necessarily for a purpose. I understand you need a job to pay your bills. I often think, like, if someone says I need a job to keep me occupied and that I can't, I'd get bored if I didn't have a job. That to me says you're not very creative, which is fine. I'm not mocking that. I don't tend to try and look down on anyone. Like if we can go to a clean bathroom, we say, to put it politely, because someone is a toilet cleaner. So I don't look down on those people because I can't look down on anyone because I'm a muck up, shall we say? What rhymes with muck? Myself, so I can't really say much. But I think obviously they do an important job, so we can go to a clean bathroom. But again, maybe that should be replaced by AI, and then it could free us up. AI could free up humanity to do things we love. I know I have that lame joke about saying it can't be any worse if aliens or AI took over, but I'm kind of joking, and I do fear that AI could be used in very evil ways as well. But I'm thinking of an idea, but I'm not going to cover it right now. But yeah, AI could be misused just like a gun, but you could also use a gun to attack people who do bad things as well. You could also use it to kill terrorists and struggle people who torture or torment others, or people who abuse children or whatever. You could use a gun for that sort of thing. So, like the military, they use guns, but most people would agree that they should do themselves. Anyway, I've gone way off tangents, I know, but yeah. So to me, AI could be very evil. I'm not disputing that, and I do fear it. I do fear how it's going to be used and how it is being used. But it could be a really good thing potentially. And what do you think? I'd love to know. But to me, it could be a really good thing. I know people might say famous last words: "Be careful what you wish for," and that kind of thing. Fair enough, but it could be a really good thing to free us up. I really do believe that it could free us up to stop us from doing what we don't want to do, so we can focus more on what we do want to do as much as possible. It doesn't mean we should lie in bed all day and be lazy. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying we could do things like writing, making videos, silly videos like this, knitting, stitching, whatever it is individuals like, they could free us up to do those things. But again, I'd love to know what you think. Number 26, one of the reasons why I want to support Native Americans is like as a form of reparations, but I'd love for them to be involved in technology, ICT technology, and that kind of thing. Maybe even, dare I say, possibly making their own versions of TikTok or YouTube or whatever. I know I talked about how I'd love for YouTube, TikTok, and others, companies like Microsoft, IBM, and others as well, to fundraise for them and also to support their content, like YouTube, TikTok, and others could promote their content on their platforms and that kind of thing. To say this month we're helping Native American YouTubers and having a list of Native American YouTubers and that kind of thing. Yeah, funding them in ICT technology and that kind of thing, and seeing how they can be empowered. Maybe YouTube and TikTok and others could employ more Native Americans. But again, I'd love to know how you would support them and for them to be part of like all the six, which I mentioned before. I'm not going to go into that right now. But I'd love for anti-imperialists to support them, and I think POC should be anti-imperialist. Like, to me, I don't think we should join militaries, but instead I think we should target our time and support. Think of why that means a T, a target. Supporting Native Americans. Number 27. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what I call the Wall and Walk and Hall of Fame. I was struggling to think of the third one yesterday, but because I've covered those before, but also listing on websites and YouTube and TikTok, listing those who support the Native American community. I'm just going to say, like, I hope they'll honour and acknowledge them and maybe have awards and say who supports their community the most. Number 28, I hope they can turn negatives into positives and use business and network together and use the fact that they were colonized to come together. So even tribes that historically didn't get along maybe could come together and be one tribe of Native Americans, their only tribe being Native Americans, and put all their differences aside, although they might want to keep some of their historical cultures and things like that. But apparently some tribes used to attack each other, like some people will say, which I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but they say that about this argument. But a lot of people say it wasn't just the Europeans who persecuted people. Like they fought each other, the tribes fought each other and that kind of thing, just like in Africa tribes can be divided. But I think what if they used the fact they were colonized to even turn it into a positive thing by actually supporting each other? So all the different tribes, Apaches, Comanches, and so many others that I might not even heard of, supporting each other. I don't know a huge amount about them. Navajo, better give them a shout out. But yeah, they could all come together to support each other. Number 29, I'd love to see what neurodiverse people can do for benefiting Native Americans, like supporting their businesses, investing in them, funding them, sponsoring their projects, and things like that whenever we can, sharing our out-of-the-box ideas with them, and those who have done well to teach and train them, and like, I think business or whatever, or different areas, like a neurodiverse person who's good in tech could help with their teaching and training Native Americans in that area. But yeah, passing on information they know, teaching and training them, funding them, sponsoring them, buying their products, and all sorts of things like that. And also, I love for my fellow Anglo-Indians, I said before, like AIM, the American Indian Movement, is AI and then M. So Anglo-Indians, I think would be quite fitting if we support, which I think we should do anyway. But I think it's quite fitting, like AI for Anglo-Indian and AIM for AIM. So for my quirky sort of connections be quite fitting. And number 30. I'm going to go for my shower and then hopefully make part 4. But yeah, please let me know what you think as ever, and I'm out. Peace and love. Nearly forgot to end this stream.